Liam Archer lost a bet with his newly adopted little sister. The consequence? Stay single for a whole month. So, he handed me a set of papers. Sign these. Just for a month. Come on, show some sportsmanship. I didn't argue. I just signed, obediently. It didn't take long for him to lose another bet. This one's different, he said, trying to sound casual. I have to spend the night with her. Just talking, nothing more. Don't misread this. A small foil packet slipped from his pocket as he fidgeted. Clearing his throat, he muttered something about a work emergency and left for a hotel. Once he was gone, I glanced at a new message. I'm leaving the country in a week. Want to come? Yes. The next day, I began packing. Halfway through, Liam returned after a night away. His neck was marked with angry red impressions, and he yawned like he hadn't slept in days. Going somewhere? I nodded, a tight knot of guilt settling in my chest. He didn't seem to notice. Finally getting out of this house. You're always stuck here, oblivious to the world. Unlike Zoe, we can talk about anything.
Zoe.
The girl he'd met at a bar 6 months ago. They were inseparable, constantly betting on little things. It started with coffees and meals but soon escalated to hugs, touches, kisses. I had cried. I had raged. All it earned me was his impatience. It's just a game. Why take it so seriously? Over time, I stopped arguing. Now, hearing him praise her while I packed in silence felt like another quiet punishment. When do you leave? He asked. 6 days. Before I knew it, I was airborne. He scooped me up, tossed me onto the bed, and pulled me close. Don't move. Just sleep next to me for a while. I couldn't pull away. The scent of another woman clung to him, and my mind replayed a jumbled, chaotic reel of images, tangled limbs, frantic passion, betrayal. Hot tears slid silently down my cheeks. Liam frowned, clearly annoyed, and patted my back in a half-hearted way. You're dramatic, Kiera. I'm the only one who could tolerate this. Without me, you'd be worse off than a stray dog. I muttered bitterly. He repeated the lines he always said, then drifted off. I wiped my tears and quietly slid from his arms. Staring at the man I'd loved for 10 years, a cold resolve hardened inside me. Even if it meant surviving like a stray, I wouldn't remain by his side any longer. As my departure drew near, memories of the past returned in vivid dreams. I remembered the first time 8-year-old Liam saw me. He stared so hard that he tripped and fell flat on his face, leaving a tiny scar on his forehead. He wore that mark proudly, a symbol of his vow to be my protector forever. He was fiercely loyal. When the chubby boy next door stole my candy, Liam cornered him and knocked out 2 teeth. When Chloe, a classmate, deliberately ruined my dress with ink, he drew dozens of grotesque caricatures of her and plastered them all over the school, scaring her into hiding. Back then, wherever I was, Liam was never far behind. We were inseparable, bound by childhood love. Until 8th grade. A plane crash claimed my parents, leaving me orphaned. My uncle took me in, uprooting me to a new school in a city miles away. I learned to eat alone, study alone, be alone. The days were full, yet my heart remained empty. The day I was diagnosed with depression, the confused, hurt expression on my uncle's face added to my burden. I even found myself staring up at the roof of a 30-story building, a strange longing pulling at me. And then I saw him. Liam. For a moment, I thought I imagined it, but he was real, his eyes sparkling as he approached. Kiera, I've been losing my mind thinking about you. I collapsed into his arms, sobbing. Please take me with you. He laughed through his tears. I can't stand it here. Everything rots or bugs attack. He pleaded with my uncle, swearing on his life to care for me, help me finish school, and ensure we reached our dream college together. Just like that, he took me home. After college, we married. At the ceremony, he cried as he slipped the ring on my finger, vowing once more to make me happy forever. But now, lying in our king-sized bed, I faced emptiness. Liam hadn't returned in 5 days. Social media offered the only glimpse of him. His latest post showed a patch on his forehead, like he'd undergone surgery. When someone asked what happened, he replied, Zoe didn't like the old scar. Said it ruined my looks, so I removed it. I froze. The mark of my protector was gone. He wasn't mine to protect anymore. I tried to tell myself it didn't matter. I was leaving tomorrow. But the sharp ache in my chest was impossible to ignore. Later, my phone buzzed with a new message. Get to Midnight Sun now. Midnight Sun was the city's most exclusive nightclub, wild and chaotic, the very place Liam had met Zoe. I hated it. I set the phone aside, pretending I hadn't seen it. Another message came almost immediately. If you're not here in an hour, you're not going anywhere, ever. It was a threat. He knew I was leaving tomorrow. I gritted my teeth and went. As I entered the VIP room, cheers erupted. 42 minutes. Liam bet she'd arrive in 30. He loses. Zoe wins. 18 losses tonight. Is he sabotaging himself? He's whipped. Liam glanced at me, but didn't acknowledge my presence. He grabbed Zoe and kissed her fiercely, knocking over a bottle of liquor in the process. The crowd went wild, and when they finally parted, a thin thread of saliva connected them. It was sickening. Nausea rose in me, and I took a step back. A voice stopped me.
Kiera.
Come here. I fought the urge to run and approached him. He pulled me onto his lap, pinching my cheek. It's just a game. Don't get jealous. You're too slow. You made me lose. I'm sorry, I muttered. Someone at the table clicked their tongue. Mrs. Archer is so obedient. Liam can do anything, and she doesn't react.
I need a girl like that.
Too obedient is boring, Liam said dismissively. I'll find someone like Zoe, fun, exciting. Go ahead, Liam replied, if you can handle a little pain. He tilted his neck, revealing a fresh bite mark. Zoe laughed, teasing him. You were begging for it last night. Said it only felt real if it hurt. He tossed a banana at her playfully. Work on your technique. They bantered as if I didn't exist. The stares from others felt like knives pressing in on me. I clutched my dress. Can I go home? I'm tired. Finally, Liam noticed. He signaled a server to escort me out. But Zoe protested. She just got here. One more bet for fun. My first instinct was to refuse, but Liam answered for me.
Sure.
You're in. Zoe quickly produced a pair of dice, blocking my way. Simple game. High or low, she said, her eyes glinting with mischief. Winner gets to request one thing from the loser. Liam squeezed my shoulder. Don't worry. Zoe only cares about jewelry and purses. If you lose, just let her take something from your closet. I wasn't attached to most of my things, so I agreed. The dice rattled, then clattered onto the table. I call high, Zoe announced. I had low. I lost. She immediately reached for my necklace. I like this one. I'm taking it. My hand flew to the pendant. Not this one, I said, stepping back. Zoe's expression darkened. Can't handle losing? Where's your sportsmanship? A dozen pairs of eyes turned on me. It belonged to my mother, I stammered. It's all I have left of her. Take anything else. Anything else at all, even the pieces worth millions. But Zoe refused to relent. You should have said that before the bet. Too late now. A deal's a deal. I looked to Liam for support, expecting him to intervene.
Kiera.
Take it off, he said coldly. Stunned, I felt all my strength drain away. Zoe stepped forward, yanking at the chain. Her nails scratched my neck, drawing blood. Pain barely registered. I just stared at Liam. His voice was glacial. Kiera, there's a limit to your tantrums. I ignored him, carefully wrapping the shattered fragments in a handkerchief. Behind me, I heard a crash as he kicked something over. Someone tried to intervene. Liam, maybe you should go after her. She looks hurt. Liam snorted. Let her go. We're already divorced. If she ends up in a ditch, that's on her. He continued, venom pouring from his words. I've spoiled her too much. She thinks the world revolves around her. Now she's throwing a fit over some dead person's necklace. Insane. In 3 days, she'll come crawling back for forgiveness. I didn't look back. Not once. Not a tear fell. This time, it was truly over. Back at home, I tucked the broken necklace into a small silk pouch and hung it around my neck. The room felt empty, hollow, like I had nothing left. After all these years, I had failed to hold on to anything. I thought about the plane crash again. Why wasn't I with them? If I had been, I'd still have my parents. I wouldn't be in the clutches of an uncle who only wanted my inheritance, nor dependent on a boy whose love had grown cruel. I felt like a piece of driftwood, tossed aside. I sent a message to the person I was supposed to meet. I won't make it tomorrow. Have a safe trip. Then I went to the bathroom. Just as the water was about to cover me, my phone rang, insistent and loud. I struggled to the surface, gasping, and answered. Ethan? Ethan Vance was one of the students I had sponsored. After my marriage to Liam, he had turned down every opportunity one gave him, insisting I focus on my well-being. He was there for me, making sure I stayed happy and sheltered.
For 2 years, life was easy.
I watched movies, surfed the web, felt cared for. Eventually, I began sponsoring underprivileged students online, but most were scams except Ethan. His story was tragic, no parents, working since childhood, but he was honest. He sent updates, shared achievements, and always returned the extra money I gave him. He got into a top university and even started his own business, becoming successful on his own. We had met in person at Liam's company once. He had been polite, even helping me clean up after Liam's tantrum in a tense business meeting. Because of his business ties, we ran into each other more often, reconnecting online. The day I left the City Records office, Liam had rushed off to a hotel, and Ethan messaged me. "How've you been?" "Not great. I'm divorced. Don't know where to go. Maybe you should travel. Clear your head. A caged bird forgets how to fly. Going to Switzerland for business in a week. Want to come along?"
Yes.
"Did you make other plans?" His voice was tight, threaded with worry. I glanced at the overflowing bathtub, unsure what to say.
No.
"Then why change your mind?" "Because I'm just tired." The exhaustion of my bleak, empty life pressed down on me. I didn't want to fight anymore. A long silence followed. The only sound was the wind outside. I feared he might hang up, and I almost returned to the bathroom. Then he spoke again. "Let me take care of you. Then you won't feel so drained." I froze. My resolve crumbled. With a trembling finger, I whispered a single, hesitant word. "Okay." Ethan was astonishingly fast. By the time we hung up, he was already downstairs. He had changed his flight, picked me up, and driven straight to the airport. The whole ordeal felt almost like a rescue. On the plane, my hair still damp, I sat in a daze. He draped a warm blanket over my shoulders, handed me a hot drink, and pulled a stack of magazines from his bag. "You might like these. Art magazines from the past few years. I thought you'd enjoy them." His voice was gentle, soothing. "I just have a bit of work to do. Let me know if you need anything." I nodded, and he turned to his laptop. The soft glow highlighted his focused face, his long fingers flying over the keyboard. He could have been a model for a stern, unapproachable executive, yet somehow, I felt at peace. I sipped the drink, warmth spreading through me. Opening a magazine, color exploded across the pages, a stark contrast to the grayscale world I had been trapped in. Outside, the moon shone brightly, illuminating the sky, and, somehow, it felt as if it could illuminate me too. When we reached Bern, Switzerland's capital, Ethan took me to our hotel. We shared a suite, me in the master bedroom, him in the guest room. His week was packed. He needed to inspect a potential partner's manufacturing plant, a pivotal deal for his company. Each morning, he left before I awoke, leaving a handwritten note, a freshly prepared breakfast, and an updated travel guide. His guides were flawless. Which bus to take, the best times to visit each site, the top restaurants. He was like a ghostly tour guide, present everywhere, yet unseen. Following his instructions, I explored art galleries, museums, clock towers, and rose gardens. I photographed streets, savored local cuisine, and watched live performances. Even the smallest details, an unusual streetlight, a quaint cafe, felt enchanting. I was free, relaxed, and alive in a way I hadn't been in years. Liam had never taken me on a trip. He insisted my depression meant I needed to limit exposure to the outside world. I had felt trapped, caged, and hopeless. Now I was falling in love with life again. Ethan and I met for dinner each evening. I shared stories of my adventures and he listened, smiling softly. Then he would turn into my personal cheerleader. "Have you thought about photography seriously? Your photos are incredible. You're like a walking encyclopedia." I learned so much about art history today. His praise, coming from someone 5 years younger, made my cheeks burn. "Stop it.
Who taught you to flatter people like that?"
"You did," he said simply. My heart skipped. The warmth in his eyes pulled me back to when we first met, him the student, me the sponsor. "First place again? You're amazing. You broke the record. You'll go far one day." It felt like destiny had come full circle. The tree I had planted all those years ago had grown strong, now sheltering me from the storms of life. While I basked in the quiet serenity of Switzerland, halfway across the globe, someone was unraveling. The VIP room, usually filled with laughter and music, was thick with tension. At its center, Liam sat, chain-smoking, his expression dark and menacing. No one dared to approach, because Kiera was gone. 7 days had passed since our fight, and the apology he expected never came. Panic gnawed at him. He'd gone home to find her, but everything was gone: her clothes, documents, belongings. Calls went unanswered, messages blocked. Every attempt ended with a red exclamation mark. This wasn't a vacation. It was an end. Liam refused to believe she could actually leave. He had molded her, controlled her. She was his, fragile and dependent. But doubt crept in. Alcohol only fueled the unease. Something had slipped from his grasp, and it infuriated him. Zoe arrived late, wearing a daring black dress, sliding next to him. "Who upset my big brother?" she purred. "Tell me and I'll fix it." "Stay out of it," he snapped, dismissing her. "Is it because Kiera ran?" she began. "I said stay out of it." His voice cut like a blade. Zoe flinched, tears in her eyes. This time, Liam didn't comfort her. He drank in silence. "If you're just going to be a nuisance, leave." Zoe silently refilled his glass, her apology unspoken. For all her boldness, she survived on others' whims. Cut off from her source, she would wilt quickly. By nightfall, Liam was drunk, carried home by someone else. Lying on the cold, empty bed, he groaned, "Honey, get me water?" But the only response was a vast, crushing silence. On my 8th day in Bern, I awoke, ready to consult my daily travel guide, only to find the page blank. Confused, I finished breakfast. The door opened, and Ethan returned early from work, carrying a large package. "Good morning," he said, his energy radiant. "What's this?" I asked, intrigued. He gestured for me to open it. After some struggling with the wrapping, I revealed a full set of art supplies: an easel, canvases, brushes, and paints. "I had it custom-made," he said. "I had to push the company to rush it, probably annoyed them. Do you like it?" I traced the carved initials on the easel. My throat tightened. I couldn't speak. I just nodded.
Yes.
I loved it. It had been years since I'd touched a brush. Liam had kept me confined, bored and idle. Painting had once been my joy. I posted my work online and was surprised people loved it. Within days, I had over 10,000 followers. Someone even commissioned a piece. I didn't care about the money. I simply reveled in being seen, in being appreciated. Until Liam found out. The client had been a man. Liam exploded. "Kiera, I give you everything, and this is how you repay me? By cheating on me?" I tried to explain, but he refused to listen. He stayed out for days, and soon, others thought I was ungrateful. I had no choice but to give in. I deleted my account and stopped accepting commissions. Liam, still unsatisfied, threw away all my supplies. Then he held me close and whispered, "Kiera, you have me. That's all that matters. Nothing else counts." At the time, I nodded foolishly. Now, feeling warmth and hope spread through me, I knew my passion mattered. It was mine. No one could take that away again. The day was perfect, sunny and bright. I set up in a nearby park. Ethan helped me carry everything, then stepped back, arms crossed, a wide smile lighting his face. "I can't wait to see what you create." I clutched my brush, nerves fluttering. "I'm probably rusty. It might be awful." He raised an eyebrow. "Then I'll just disagree with the rest of the world and be your #1 fan." His sincerity made my breath hitch. The sun warmed my skin. The wind lifted my hair. I knew this morning, and the man standing beside me, would never be forgotten. I took a deep breath, and then let myself lose myself completely in the art. Time slipped away faster than I realized. I was so absorbed in painting that I didn't notice the hours passing until Ethan called to remind me to eat. Back at the hotel, my phone rang again. Assuming it was him, I answered without thinking. A familiar voice froze me in place. "Kiera?"
Liam.
He must have borrowed someone else's phone to reach me. My tone was steady, emotionless. "What do you want?" A long pause followed. "Where are you?" "Send me your address."
I'll come get you.
"Why would you do that?" I asked, confused by his sudden calmness. "Kiera," he began softly, almost coaxing, "I know you're upset. But enough is enough, don't you think? You've had your little break. It's time to come home." Then his voice turned patronizing. "You can't take care of yourself. You'll end up being a burden. And if something happens to you, I'll have to pick up the pieces again." He actually sighed. When you're back, we can replace that necklace. It's just an object. What matters is us, our life. Liam, I said quietly, I'm not coming back. The divorce was real. His patience snapped. That was part of the game. The month's almost over. We can just go back and undo it. You're overreacting. He truly didn't understand. In his world, my pain was just another round in his endless game. You were the only one playing, Liam, I said. I meant every word. I drew a steady breath. We're done. Don't call me again. And then I ended the call. For a long moment, I just stood there, phone in hand, feeling a strange, quiet peace settle over me. The invisible weight I'd been carrying for years finally lifted. It was over.
Completely.
By the 12th day, after endless late nights and early mornings, Ethan finally wrapped up his work ahead of schedule. From that moment, my solo trip became ours. We went skiing in the Alps, racing down snow-covered slopes by day, and spent our evenings in warm taverns, sharing wine and soft laughter. We hiked through mountain trails, counted constellations, and explored the old city streets, taking pictures in front of everything beautiful. We saw, we tasted, we lived. By the end, the suite's living room was overflowing with canvases. I laughed, wondering how I would ever get them all home. Sell them, Ethan suggested. I hesitated. He'd praised my work endlessly, but I assumed it was just kindness. Still, his encouragement made me brave enough to try. We set up a small stall in a public square. To my surprise, people gathered almost immediately. Children loved the playful animal portraits, while adults lingered over the landscapes. By sunset, a dozen paintings were gone. I stared at the money in disbelief. It wasn't about the amount, it was that I had earned it with my own hands. Ethan watched me, smiling like a fool. Look at you. My wife's rich now, and I'm starving. I grinned and waved him toward a nearby food stand. Then dinner's on me. 2 hot dogs later, we lay on the grass watching the stars, the perfect close to a perfect day. A streak of light flashed across the sky. I grabbed his arm and made a wish before it faded. When I opened my eyes, he was already watching me. The moonlight caught in his eyes, turning them molten and soft. What are you staring at me for? I said, embarrassed. The stars are that way. The stars can't grant my wish, he said quietly. Only you can. I laughed awkwardly. That's ridiculous. I don't have that kind of power. Yes, you do. His tone shifted, deep and sincere. When I was in my last year of high school, all the scholarship spots went to rich kids. I couldn't even afford to eat. I filled out a sponsorship form online, praying someone would notice. And someone did. You, he said softly. You were my miracle. You didn't just send money. You believed in me. You celebrated my achievements. You cared when no one else did. His words hit me like a tidal wave. He continued, voice trembling slightly. I lost my parents early. I had no one. You became my family. My chest ached. I was so awful to you, I whispered. I just stopped writing. I didn't even explain. You must have thought I abandoned you. He smiled sadly and wiped my tears with his thumb. It hurt. I thought I wasn't enough, so I worked harder. I wanted to be someone who could stand beside you. I shook my head. It wasn't that. I just thought I was in the way, that I couldn't help anymore. I was wrong. I was so stupid. He pulled me into a gentle hug. You weren't wrong.
You were just kind.
After a long while, I finally managed to stop crying. I wiped my face and sat up, looking straight at Ethan. All right, I said with a shaky laugh. What's your wish? I promise I'll grant it, whatever it is. His expression turned serious, his gaze warm but unwavering. I want us to be on the same legal document, he said. My mind went blank. Of all the answers I had prepared for, mountains, oceans, even impossible dreams, I hadn't expected that. Before I could even ask what he meant, I realized what he was doing. At some point, he had shifted from sitting beside me to kneeling on one knee. In his hand was a small velvet box, open to reveal a diamond ring that caught the starlight and scattered it in 1,000 directions. Kiera, he said softly, I love you. Will you marry me? For a heartbeat, I couldn't breathe. It was sudden, unexpected, almost unreal. I had just walked away from a marriage that broke me. But Ethan wasn't Liam, and I wasn't the same woman who had once depended on someone else to save her. This journey had healed me in ways I hadn't known I needed. It had reminded me that I could stand on my own, that the world was still full of beauty waiting to be rediscovered. So I closed my eyes and listened, to my own heartbeat, to the quiet certainty that whispered yes. I extended my left hand and smiled through my tears. Ethan Vance, I said, I want you to be my family. When we returned to the States, I moved into Ethan's penthouse. He told me it had always been just a building before, but now that I was there, it finally felt like home. I couldn't quite describe the feeling. It was light, safe, happy. Once I settled in, I opened a new social media account and began posting the paintings I'd made during our trip. To my surprise, the posts took off almost immediately. Then, one comment stopped me cold. This art style looks so familiar. Are you Rising Kira, the artist who vanished a few years ago? My old username. Someone had actually remembered me. I hesitated for a moment, then replied simply, I am. The response came within seconds. Oh my God, you're back. I missed your work so much. Are you taking commissions? I am, I replied again. Within hours, my inbox overflowed with requests and messages. The excitement was dizzying. I texted Ethan right away to share the news. He replied with a single emoji, a thumbs up. Later that night, I noticed my follower count had jumped dramatically. Suspicious, I turned to him and narrowed my eyes. Ethan, what did you do? He looked way too pleased with himself. I might have mentioned your art to my team at work, he admitted. Couldn't resist bragging about my amazing wife. My cheeks went hot. We'd only been married a few days, and he already said wife like it was the most natural thing in the world. A few months ago, I never could have imagined life could be this bright again, that I could step out of the shadows and into something so full of warmth. If I learned anything, it's this. Never give up. You never know what waits just around the corner. But I had no idea that while I had moved forward, someone else was still trapped in yesterday. One afternoon, I was out shopping for art supplies when a familiar voice cut through the air. Kiera. Liam. He stormed toward me, his eyes burning with frustration. Enough of this nonsense, he snapped. We're getting remarried. Today. I just looked at him, stunned. Seriously? If he'd shown up any later, I might have already been a mother by now. We sat across from each other in a quiet cafe. The owner himself came over with our drinks, smiling warmly. It's an honor to have you here, Mrs. Vance, he said. These are on the house. The paintings you allowed us to display have brought in so many new customers. You're our lucky charm. I thanked him, a little embarrassed, and waited for him to leave. Across the table, Liam's face had darkened. You're painting again? He asked, his tone flat. I nodded calmly. The slight twitch at the corner of his mouth told me everything. That flicker of unease, it was fear. In that moment it hit me. He hadn't wanted a partner back then. He'd wanted a puppet. All those years, Liam had paid the bills and claimed he was taking care of me. But what he really wanted was to strip me of independence, to make me depend on him for everything. He controlled who I spoke to, what I did, and how I lived. His moods were my weather, his approval, my air. Now that I stood on my own, that control was gone, and it terrified him. Making money is exhausting work, he said after a long silence, forcing a smile. You shouldn't trouble yourself with that. Let me handle it. We could start over, Kiera. Get remarried. You could have your peaceful life back. I almost laughed. Even now, he still thought I was that naive girl who needed him to survive. Instead, I took out my phone and opened a photo of my marriage certificate. I placed it on the table between us. Liam, I said quietly, I'm married. The red seal glared up at him like a wound. His mask slipped, rage surged through the cracks. Ethan Vance, he spat. How do you even know him? Why would someone like him want you? I tilted my head and smiled. Why wouldn't he? For years, I'd forgotten who I was. But I had been talented, hardworking, and capable long before Liam ever entered my life. I had won awards, earned scholarships, and built a name for myself.
Of course someone could love me for me.
Liam faltered. For a fleeting second, he actually saw me again, not as the woman he once controlled, but as the person I'd become, confident, self-assured, unreachable. And that realization only made him more furious. His shoulders slumped. The fight drained out of him, replaced by desperation. After a long silence, he whispered, Kiera, I'm sorry. His voice trembled. I was wrong. I'll change, I swear. Please, just give me another chance. But I felt nothing. Liam, I said softly, that's never going to happen. Underscore 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 underscore. Chapter 14. I left before he did. The meeting felt like a small, meaningless ripple in a peaceful sea. Life returned to its new rhythm: painting, traveling, laughter. When Ethan had time off, we'd drive to the countryside. He had recently discovered a love for photography, and I had become his favorite subject. Our home was filled with photo albums, snapshots of sunsets, wildflowers, and moments that felt suspended in time. Everything was perfect until one morning, my latest post exploded with hate. Don't be fooled by this woman. She's not who you think she is. She cheated on her husband and left him for a richer man. I knew her personally. She used her ex for years, then dumped him as soon as she got bored. The flood of comments was overwhelming. Some of my followers tried to defend me, but the lies spread fast. My messages filled with venom. For a moment, panic clawed at me. Then I started digging. A few patterns stood out: the same wording, the same timing. I found the account behind it all and sent a private message. Zoe, is that you? Her reply came instantly. Of course it's me. You ruined Liam. He's miserable, barely eating, just a shell of himself. I'm going to make you pay for what you did to him. Her words were laced with obsession and rage. There was no reasoning with her. I logged out before she could send another tirade. A few minutes later, Ethan called. His voice was steady but firm. Don't worry. I've already informed our legal department. They're collecting evidence from the posts. We'll take this to court for defamation. Warmth spread through me. For once, I wasn't alone in the fight. Someone had my back. But I knew there was still one thing left for me to face. Later that week, I went to the hospital where Liam was staying. Through the glass, I saw Zoe kneeling beside his bed, pleading with him to eat. Get out, he roared. It's your fault. Kiera won't forgive me. I never want to see you again. Her eyes widened, tears spilling down her cheeks. Then he looked up and saw me. All the fury drained from his face. Kiera, he breathed, voice breaking into a disbelieving smile. You came back. Zoe stumbled to the side, her face twisted in humiliation and rage. Her eyes burned into me with hatred, so raw, it almost seemed to vibrate in the air. I didn't bother looking at her again. My focus was on Liam. I'm not here for you, I said evenly. We're divorced. Whether you live or die doesn't concern me anymore. He froze. The words hit him like a slap, the same cruel ones he had once thrown at me. Now they came back sharpened, cutting him where it hurt most. I'm only here because both of you are interfering with my life, I continued. Do me a favor and stop. His lips parted, but I didn't give him the chance to speak. Liam, stop acting like a martyr. The pain you're feeling now isn't even a fraction of what you put me through for years. Then I turned to Zoe. And you, expect to cease and desist soon. What you've done online is criminal. Keep it up and you'll be facing real consequences. The blood drained from her face. In a panic, she turned to Liam, clutching his sleeve. Liam, please. Help me. I only did it for you. She doesn't love you. I'm the one who truly cares. For a brief moment, I saw disbelief flash across his face, then fury. He struck her hard across the cheek. How dare you, he hissed. You think dragging her name through the mud helps me? You've humiliated me even more. Zoe crumpled to the floor, sobbing. Liam's voice was cold, without pity. Get out. And don't bother looking for work here again, you're finished. Security came and escorted her out, her cries echoing down the hall. Once she was gone, Liam turned back to me, his tone softening. Kiera, I didn't know she was doing any of that. I swear you'll never have to see her again. I'll handle everything. I met his gaze calmly. And what about you, Liam? Will you handle yourself too? He faltered. The bravado slipped away, replaced by trembling desperation. Kiera, he whispered, we've known each other for 20 years. Can you really throw all of that away? Don't you remember the good times? Can't you forgive me just once? I shook my head slowly. My voice didn't waver. Yes, we've known each other for 20 years. And I spent half of that time miserable. For a long time, I clung to the good memories. But now, when I look at you, all I see are the nights you didn't come home, the lies, the betrayal, and the way you made me feel worthless. I've reached my limit. I don't owe you forgiveness. If you have any decency left, let me live in peace." The words left no room for argument. I turned to leave. Behind me, I heard him choke back a sob, but I didn't look back. His regret didn't move me anymore. By the time I stepped outside, the winter sun was high and blindingly bright. The chill in the air couldn't touch me. Ethan was waiting by the car, leaning casually against the door, his arms open. I walked straight into his embrace, feeling warmth seep into me as the last trace of the past faded away. For the first time in a long while, I truly felt free. From here on out, I wouldn't be alone. I had love, I had peace, and I finally had a home.